whatever they're feeling. There are some women that are very promiscuous. Oh, sorry. There are some women that are very promiscuous, whatever they're feeling. There are some people that are very promiscuous, and that's okay. You know, there are people that love to make love, and there are people that don't love to make love. There are people that want to do this, there are people that want to do that. You know, it's not really about, you know, the wanting to do that. It's, you can see a weird old man that's very open and very, you know, big on his sexuality, and you don't see that person to be very creepy. You see them to perhaps be very horny. You might see them to be perverted, but it's rare that you see them to be perverted when they're open about their sexuality. It's more like, oh, wow, okay. That guy really likes to do that, or this woman, you know, she's very sexual, she's very wearing sexual clothes, she really likes to, you know, she's a horny woman, she wants to make love with a lot of people, you know, older woman or a younger woman, however it is, and, you know, we don't always see these people as negative. It's typically when they're like the darker, secretive versions of themselves that we think, that guy's a creep, or that girl is kind of, you know, manipulative, or whatever it is, you know, she's trying to use her jubblies to get me going, you know. And I'm not saying that we have to be outwardly sexual. We can be prudent if we wanted to. That's all right. We can do whatever we want. But I think if we open our sexual expressions a lot and we are not so damning and judgmental of it, that it would be very easy for us to really know what it is that we want and find ourselves in a place of balance, not really on this extreme or that extreme. I kind of like that we open ourselves fully, and then we know where the center is because we're able to feel all of the different things. And we're like, oh, okay, this is where I am. You know what? I don't think that I do like men very much, or I don't think that I do like women very much. I don't know. I think that what I really want is just to be here with me now, and yes, I'm very interested in making love with people. Of course, I'm not just any people. And sometimes maybe I feel very horny and I want to make love with every people. Who knows? You know, but the more you come to know yourself truly, the more you're not going to get yourself caught into the bindings of certain things. You know, you're like, you know, actually, it's not what I'm looking for. This is what I'm looking for. And the more we know ourselves, the more, you know, happy we become, because we're like, oh, okay, now I know, you know, what I want and how I want it. I don't have any kind of question, shape, or form. I've tried it all, you know, or whatever it is, in my mind or in physical body. I've tried pretty much everything, you know, trying. And it's been a good time, sexually, drugs-wise, whatever it is, you know, life-wise. I've done a lot of things. And so I know myself very well, actually, through experience. I'm like, no, that wasn't very good. Not too big on that. And maybe I wasn't sure if it was good or not. Maybe it could have been better. Let me try it this way. No, not that. Maybe this way. No, I don't. That was okay. Oh, well, yeah, I had a good time, but I still don't, you know, it didn't leave me with a great residual, you know. And that's a big deal. How do you feel after? You know, you feel good about yourself? Do you not feel good about yourself? Do you feel good about yourself because you don't judge it, or what is it? Could there be judgment in there? I always like to see, like, am I judging me? No, okay, I'm good. Whew, thank goodness. Judgment's the big killer to expression, I gotta tell you. It's very tough to do anything, you know, when we're sifting through our own judgment all the time, constantly judging our actions, judging other people's actions, you know, just stuck in this place of thought, stuck in this place of mind, not just able to be like, you know, jump and be free. Like, oh no, I want to run into the ocean right now, but is anybody looking? Can I run into the ocean in any way that I want to run into the ocean, or do I have to run in a specific manner to look good for all people around me? What if there's nobody around me? Do I still do that even when they're not around me, just in case they show up out of nowhere and I'm not looking? How could it be? How could this hypersensitivity of needing to govern myself based on what other people may think, how far will it go? It's a really interesting thing. Things that stop us from being ourselves. Also things that stop us from being motivated to learn about ourselves. You know, how is it that we find the motivation to find the route, the bravery, the desire to know who we are? And why do we want to know who we are? Is knowing who we are going to help us do anything for anybody else? If we knew who we were truly, and we realized that we're actually an infinite limitless being that is equal with all other beings, and that we're not separate from all other beings, so all other beings are actually ourself. And when we realize all other beings to be ourself, do we feel great or motivated to help other beings, to be there for other beings? Do we realize then that when we, you know, get tired of a being and we walk away from a being, that just kind of getting tired of ourselves in a certain sense, in a certain manner, you know? And And that's okay as well, you know. You don't have to be somewhere. You can love yourself. Loving yourself and being loving towards yourself is being loving towards all of yourself. But how do we know this? How do we understand this? How do we realize this? How do we bring this from a place that isn't just concept and intellect, a informational understanding, to a place of true knowing, true understanding, through the wisdom that can only be brought through direct experience? As I said, I always bring people to the medicine path. But maybe it's not the first place to go. Maybe it is. I also like to bring people to teachings of wisdom that have come from the world, and mine have come from Buddhism, from understanding the Eightfold Path, from the teachings of the Buddha and Padmasambhava, also Native American cultures and their ways, and wherever my heart had guided me. So, really, that's the biggest teacher right there, to be leading anybody to their own heart. You can find it all through the following of your own heart, but the true and genuine desire and devotion to that path must come up. You know, you can go in the world today and do anything and succeed the world today. For me, I like beings like me too, by the way. There's nothing in the world for me. There was nothing for me to sustain. There's no job or application of anything aside from spirituality that I wanted to be in. When I was 22, I wanted to be a pastor when I thought that God was real in a certain sense. I thought that I must be an amazing Christian, so I wanted to spread the word of God in that manner. Because I had had all these amazing synchronistic experiences that had me walk in faith and not by sight, that had me follow my intuition in such a manner that was so profound. That's what I wanted to do, was share the wisdom that had been brought to me. I had found prayer, and I had found trust, I had found faith. But now it has developed into such a great place. And because I didn't hold rigidly to what I was finding, so I didn't reach a place and stop there, I continued to search for the truth. I could see through a discerning eye that there was things missing and that there was more teachings, and that I had had all these amazing experiences beforehand that had shown me that, hey, you know, there is something more than what these guys are telling us in this book, so I must read somewhere else. I must find elsewhere. And through this I found teachings of Christ that said that there was reincarnation, and that there's all these other things. And I finally found a meditation center, and I finally found the Eightfold Path by Lama Surya Das. And then I found out through that book and reading that book and knowing myself very well that, oh my goodness, I'm a seeker. Of course. I mean, it's all I've ever wanted to know this whole lifetime, was the occult, the subconscious, to be lucid with all of reality, to understand enlightenment, telepathy, have all the psychic abilities and gifts given to me. I wanted to know all of these amazing things, and I wanted to know them truly, fully, forever, and always. And, yeah, that's a really amazing, phenomenal thing. And so when I found out that I was definitely a seeker, then I knew that Buddhism was the path, and I read it, and it was such a beautiful, amazing way. The Eightfold Path was so great, so phenomenal, so true. I was like, yes, this is definitely what I am looking for. This is definitely what I need in my life. And that was just gorgeous, just so beautiful. So, you may find something for yourself, and perhaps you already have. But if you have, I will say that there is a phenomenal gateway for anybody who would care to look, and look some more. People had told me, you know, hey, you must find it another way, that you must go through the motions in another way. And I'm like, yes. But every time I go through these motions, they last to where I am able to do it in another way. So they give me the gateway in order to do that. Because you see, it was impossible without medicine ceremony for me to be here today talking to you in a loving manner. It was impossible for me to love myself without medicine ceremony. It was impossible for me to do many things without this. I needed these gateways to bring me into the truth of myself. Nobody in this world was very giving, was very kind. Nobody was really able to see me. They all wanted me to go through all these different routes, you know. And those routes were not fast enough for me. I needed a faster route. And so I found it. And that was medicine ceremony, again. LSD and mushrooms, psychedelics. Eventually DMT. And sometimes even ketamine. Yeah, that was cool. Just a couple times that. A few times. It was pretty expansive. It had a lot of the qualities of DMT, but it wasn't a trip in a sense. It was more just like a releasing of all fear, and then the coming into the flow of the moment, and really opening the energy body to flow very, very well with one another. So it opened a lot of the neural passageways. It allowed connections to be made at a very fast rate, and that allowed a lot of acceleration and progress to happen. I do hear that they use this for training in the military, not ketamine, but LSD, to help soldiers become faster and more alert in their trainings. Which for me, it's been an extremely amazing training mechanism. So maybe you're a Qigong practitioner. Maybe you should see what happens when you're doing some medicine ceremony with some intention. You know, it might be quite profound, or it may not be. It just depends on you. You know, I want to lead people to the same path as me, but, you know, I have to understand that everybody's in a different place, and not everybody is able to do exactly as I have done. And I've seen many people in many ceremonies that have had a great amount of ceremony, and I've even seen shamans and people that have had, you know, decades of ceremony not be able to do the things that I've been able to learn. But that's just the different karmas and lives. You know, this is the different things that we have within ourselves, different understandings that bring us through different places, and I can always see it to be related in certain ways, like, oh, you still hold on to this judgment, and so you have a limitation. There's no way for you to connect with your heart. The heart doesn't have judgment. The heart is a place of no judgment, unconditional love for all beings everywhere, without one exception, has no judgment of itself in any manner, shape, or form. And so any judgment that you have on the world around you, thinking of the right or wrong, is possibly real within reality. Then you're limiting yourself in your expression. You're not able to reach the certain places of acceleration that I myself have reached. And it can seem very difficult. Now, I'm not saying that you cannot have discernment, you cannot see a spade to be a spade. I do know if somebody wants to do me harm. That's not a judgment, it is the truth. That person does want to do me harm, and that's okay. You know, you're like, oh, well, but that's you that wants to do you harm. Yes, that's fine. You could say that, yes, I want to do me harm. Or, I am giving myself an opportunity to set a boundary and to see that I'm correct about this, and to give wisdom to this being based on my authentic, you know, expression in the moment. I could be very clear to where it's like, hey, I think you want to do me harm right now, and I'm just not going to let that happen, okay? I love you very much, whatever it is, but no, you're not going to do that. That's not going to happen. It gives me a chance to stand up for myself, stand in a boundary or whatever it is, but to be strong and to not let myself be moved, not to give myself up to somebody harming me. A lot of people do that. They think that the other people are harming them, but it's them that's harming them. It's them giving away their power. They knew that this thing was going to harm them, you know, and they did it anyway. And then they started to judge themselves, thinking, this is my fault, and somebody isn't harming me. It's, you know, whatever it is, you know. It's like, well, you know, come on. You know, all you have to do is get away from the situation. All you have to do is love